Nvidia stock investors got some fantastic news this morning, Wednesday, March 26, 2025, as a Bloomberg report indicated that OpenAI expects its revenue will jump to $125 billion by 2029. So I'm going to describe why that's great news for Nvidia stock investors and why the stock price is still down over 5.5% today. Of course, that has more to do with the overall market worried about macroeconomic slowdown as a result of President Trump's policies on tariffs and geopolitical trade. So I'll discuss all that in this video for Nvidia stock investors.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, so according to a Bloomberg report, OpenAI expects its revenue will surpass 125 billion by 2029. This is going to be, of course, fueled by the strength of its paid AI software. OpenAI is forecast to more than triple its revenue to 12.7 billion in 2025. So this year, OpenAI's revenue is going to more than triple from about $4 billion last year up closer to $13 billion this year. And that's expected to increase by almost 10x to $125 billion by 2029. So you can understand why companies are spending so much money to develop the artificial intelligence capabilities because there's so much demand in the market for these technologies. People are already paying for this technology today. And as the technology is improving, people are spending more and more on this technology. Now, this is coming primarily from enterprises right now that are paying for the premium versions of OpenAI's ChatGPT. And over the years, I wouldn't be surprised if the use cases expand beyond just enterprises. I wouldn't be surprised if people are increasingly willing to pay OpenAI's premium, which is $19.99 a month or maybe even $9.99 a month in the future, for access to the premium versions of this technology. It's such an upgrade for most use cases compared to the regular search engine that people are using right now to get answers to questions. And sometimes the large language model is answering questions that the search engine cannot answer. It's remarkable the advancements of these technologies in just such a short amount of time, in just a couple of years. Of course, the offsetting factor of that is the dominant search engine business, Google Search, is likely to experience a decline in market share in that category. And that's partly the reason why that share price is trading at such a cheap valuation. You can get Alphabet stock at a very cheap valuation because of those risks are already incorporated in the price. But that's a subject for another video I'll get deeper into. In this video, the primary beneficiary of all of this spending on AI is going to be Nvidia. Well, in addition to OpenAI, it's going to be Nvidia. Already, in its most recent quarter, Nvidia reported revenue in its data center segment jumped by 93% to $35.58 billion. That was up by 93% year over year. And you can imagine some of its customers right now, and Blackwell sales were led by large cloud service providers, which represented approximately 50% of our data center revenue. So these are companies that include Microsoft, Amazon, and Alphabet. Those are the large cloud service providers. You can imagine if they are experiencing this surge in demand for the data center computing capacity, which of course is going to, according to that forecast, if OpenAI's revenue is going to 10x from here after 3xing this year, right? So that's a 30x in revenue from 2024 to 2029. 30x growth in revenue at OpenAI is the forecast. If that revenue is going to 30x, that's going to require increasing computing power to deliver on that increase in demand from the marketplace. And so they need to purchase this technology. NVIDIA is the primary provider of that technology. And so there's a lot of concerns that NVIDIA's demand, how it looks like after this year or after next year. And this can be one data point that relieves some of that concern, right? There's still a risk. This is just a forecast for the future. This isn't for sure that OpenAI is going to experience this kind of revenue growth. And it isn't for sure that NVIDIA will be the primary computing provider for these data centers optimized for AI for the next 5 years. It's not a certainty, even though right now it's estimated that NVIDIA has a roughly 90% market share in that category. But still, there are things that could happen that could change that dominant market share. So we can't just lock it in as if it's guaranteed to happen. But it's a good sign. It's a good data point for NVIDIA stock investors that were concerned about several years in the future. Because for this year, I think most NVIDIA stock investors understand that its technology is almost completely sold out. And so this year, we already know demand is going to be strong, sales growth is going to be strong. What NVIDIA stock investors are now shifting their attention to is the long run, maybe not even 2026. They're thinking about 2027 and beyond if this type of demand will persist or if NVIDIA will experience a sharp decrease in revenue as a result of the buildup of these data centers that then will not need to be expanded upon, and that will be all. So interestingly, let's keep an eye on this number, the $125 billion number for 2029. And let me share with you my NVIDIA discounted cash flow model. So according to my discounted cash flow model, and I'm looking at the year 2029 to kind of connect it with OpenAI's number, I'm forecasting that in 2029, NVIDIA's free cash flow will be $147 billion, its free cash flow. That will be an increase of more than 2x from its current point of $60 billion expected for 2025. So I'm forecasting a roughly 2.5x increase for NVIDIA's free cash flow between now and 2029. And here we have OpenAI forecasting a roughly 10x increase in its revenue between these years. And OpenAI said most of its money is going to be spent on the computing power, and most of that will be going to NVIDIA. OpenAI's cash flow will be barely positive in 2029, according to this report by Bloomberg. So even though it'll be making $125 billion in revenue, it'll be spending almost exactly $125 billion in cash flow as well. That should be one point of good news for NVIDIA stock investors that are experiencing a tough year. But the share price looks extremely attractive here at a forward price to earnings of 19.78. And my discounted cash flow model has it worth $143. Current market price is only $113.75. I have NVIDIA stock listed on my watch list. I'm likely to be buying this stock if I get an opportunity here in the next few days. I will be buying this stock. Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce that my book is finally available for sale. I've been working on it for more than a year now, so I'm really excited to finally share this with you now. It goes through my framework for evaluating stocks. Some of you often ask why I like this stock or why I like the other stock, and this framework provides you the things that I look at when I'm evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.